G'day to all the fans and friends at Equine Affaire. This is Guy McLean. I'm here at my property, Nuggets Rest. This is where I train a lot of my horses for the last year and a couple months. We've been training outside horses for clients because of COVID. We're in and out of rain here at the moment, which is wonderful. We really need the water and we're very grateful for it. So my dear wife Em is going to pull a dry's bone coat over her head if it rains, and we'll try and get something filmed for you. I'm riding my beautiful stallion XC Dreaming of Abby. He's a purebred Australian stock horse, and the 4 Liberty horses I have here are all purebred Australian stock horses also. Australian stock horse is to our country in Australia what the American quarter horse is to America. He's our cow horse and our dear friend. So I want to show some things with him. I was thinking about what I could teach you or what I could explain to you. There's only a short time we have here. And I was just thinking about the rein cues and how they mean to a horse. There's so many different ways to hold the reins, from a more of an English style to more of a Western with a looser rein. Though I wear a cattleman, a crewbed I've got on my head here today, a cowboy hat, I ride very much more English than you would say probably Western. But when I teach people, I find that a lot of people, when they want to ride, they don't have any, I suppose we can call it rein etiquette. And what I mean by that is there's no real rules to how they hold their rein. So you'll ask them to turn their horse around and they'll often take their hand past their hip, or they'll take their hand up here across the horse's neck and across their belly button, and a lot of the rein cues are high. I just want to show you that on an educated horse such as Dreamer, who's had probably 6 months of training in his life, he's an 8-year-old now, I want to show you what rein cues mean to him. Now, if I just want to ride along and control his headset, I can make my hand cues high. The higher I raise my hand, the more that he'll release to the bridle. It seems that if we go high with our hands, they go low. If we go low with our hands, sometimes they want to brace against us. But you'll notice that all this is really doing is controlling the head and neck of him. It's not controlling his feet at all. When I want to start controlling his feet, there's only 2 times in my training that I'll go to my hip. I'll go to my hip for a hip control, so I draw my right hand up into my hip like I'm reaching for my phone, and I want his hind end to go away. And the only other time that I would go there is if I was backing him through a cow horse turn and drawing his nose all the way through the turn like that. And you'll notice it gets a real swoop with him and it really draws his nose through. But anything that I'm doing at speed, I'm going to stay in front of my green and gold saddle blanket, and most of my rein cues are going to be from here. The reason for that is if you'll know, if I come along here, I keep my hands in front of the saddle, I control the horse's feet straight away. If we get up into these kind of movements and we're making bigger hand cues, what we do is we talk to the face more. So I keep my hands very centered. As a rule, I never go higher than my belly button, and I never go wider than my knee. So even on a young horse, even on a baby on his first ride, you won't see me go past my knee here, and you'll never ever see me come past my back, because I just want to show you, I don't want to upset Dreamer, but when I do movements like this, you'll notice he gets a little out of shape. He gets too bent and it gets messy, and I'm sorry mate, that's not how I need to ride you. So you'll notice as I go along today and I work my Liberty horses, I'm going to be riding him a lot one-handed. So for me to be able to get to that one-handed feel, when I ride with 2 hands, everything's really, really together. And when he's riding along nice, this is how I would have him, with a little bit of inside bend, shaped around my inside leg, soft at the pole. You'll notice that he's a little deeper than what we would want him. I'm going to pop his shoulders up here and put him into more of a dressage look, where I lift his shoulders up. And you'll notice I didn't change his headset, I just changed where his shoulders were. I'll ask him to do a little bit of collected work here, and collected work is where we take the hind end to his face. Left lead, right lead, left lead, right lead. Now I'm going to let him stretch out a little. So there's times where I want him to be up in front and lifted. There's times where I want him to stretch out. You'll notice I like him to get on his front end a little bit for speed, because those top race horses, they're not collected when they're running, they're stretched out. I want him to stretch a little, and I get over his shoulder to help him a little bit. Because if I'm riding speed back here, I'm putting a lot of weight on his back. If I'm chasing a cow, I'll get over the top of his shoulder and release him. I'm going to bring him down here and stop him. So this really here is about being the horseman that the horse needs in the moment. So for that speed stuff, when my shoulders are forward, he's catching me. When my shoulders are back, he's catching me. If I keep bringing my shoulders back, he keeps on catching me. He keeps drawing back to me. If I wanted to do something that looked a little bit more English here, I would sit up a little straighter and ask him to come together a little more. If I want him to look a little Western, I would ask him to get on his front end a little more and stay a little flatter. Good boy. Through a lot of this stuff, you'll notice that I ride very still in my top half. Even when I'm forward or when I'm up straight, my top half stays very still. And I want to pretend that out of my zipper here, that I have a beam of light that shoots out of my chest, and I want to pretend that he has one that shoots out of his beautiful chest here. When I ride, I put those two beam lights together. So I'm going to ride him along here. Regardless of where his face is, I want those two lights to be together. I can have his nose in a reverse arc or a counter bend, and I still have those two beam of lights together. Here, if I'm working a cow, I'd want those two beams of light to be together controlling that cow. And you'll notice when I work my Liberty horses in a second that those two beams here is how I'm going to control these horses. I've got 4 beautiful Liberty horses there, and I'm going to push them around. I'm not even going to go and block them. I'm just going to put that beam out towards them, and you watch how it controls them. Now, they are educated, but this works with any stock, because the biggest thing when we're training or working or just being in life is that we have an intention. And if our intention is strong and our thoughts are pure and powerful, we can really do a lot with them. So I'm going to ride over to all 4 of them. I've sent them in a circle, two circles each way before I turn the video on. My beautiful wife Emily is filming for me. She's just wonderful. So grateful for her. It's just Em and I that do this, that run businesses in 2 different countries and do what we do, and I'm very, very grateful for you, Dylan. So I'm going to move them around here, and I'm going to put not just my eyes, but because I can put my eyes out in front of those horses and it doesn't do anything, but if I put my chest in front of them, you'll notice I change their direction now, and I'm going to keep bringing them here with my eyes and my intention, with my chest here. I want to keep bringing them to the right. I can go and aim it up a little bit more, create a little more energy with it, but you'll notice I'm still in front of their eye. So in a lot of way, my body's blocking them, but my gaze and my intention is pushing them past. And so that's how we ride. When I ride a young horse in the first couple rides, a lot of people say to me, Guy, you look down a lot. That's because a young horse is looking at 4 or 5 feet in front of his face. I want to be looking at with him too. Right now, this would be a great way for me to ride him around and have him be with me. On a horse that's really interested, like this boy is, if I look up and go forward, he's going to be looking up over the next hill and then wanting to go there. So I want to be connected with him at all times. I'm going to throw my eyes out there. I'm going to throw my eyes out here at my chest. And as I say, it's much more my intention from the core of me. And it's wonderful to come from the chest like that, because it's the core of our body. But it's from the core of our intention and the core of our heart that we should be working with. So there's 2 different ways that I can bring these beautiful horses to me. And I'm going to choose, I'll show you the first way. So right now they're all working as a team. Now I'm going to get them to work as individuals. So I'm going to pluck one out. If she'd have stopped and turned and run away, I'd have just stopped and turned with her, showing the skills of the horse that I'm on. Because she says that, Dad, you've got control of me, you've proven that you have me, I'll come with you. The other thing is, she is totally in love with this beautiful stallion that I'm on, so it's not a problem for her. I leave her there. Now I'm going to look at her hips and push her away. This little mare is Rome, and I'll introduce some more to you. It's Dreaming of Abby that I'm on. Rome that's trotting away. The beautiful chocolate brown black horse is Teddy. The lovely little mare that looks like she's just had Christmas lunch is Kaidi. And the beautiful mare with the white face is a daughter of Dreaming of Abby, and her name is Bling. So this is the beautiful team that travels with me throughout Australia. Bling's very young and still being educated. The other 3 horses are at a show level, but young Rome's not really been anywhere yet. She's only done about 6 shows in front of people. Teddy's been on a stage in front of 1,000 people at Australia's got talent. He's performed all over Australia and performed in front of 20,000 people at Australia's biggest shows. And I just love that good old gelding. And you'll notice that he trots around. He's not wasting any energy. He says the girls can run around and do what they like. I'm just going to plod around behind him. And even though he's plodding around behind him, he leads from there. You'll notice when I come here, he's the first to change direction. He knows the job so well. He doesn't have to be in front to lead. He can lead from any position. So I'm going to let this stallion run here now. You'll notice I get up and around them. When I do this with my beautiful gelding Spin Abbey over in America, I don't have to worry about him wanting to dominate or anything. Being a stallion, this boy doesn't like the gelding and loves the mares a little too much. I want to show you the skills of him here. This here is called a haunch turn. So it's not a traditional stop and roll back, but it's a traditional turn of our Australian stock horse. There's a proper roll back there. And he just does it so well. And having my hands be below and central with him is so important, because if I had big ugly hand movements here, I wouldn't be able to stay with him. I've just got to stay out of his way. Wherever I look, he puts himself. You are the coolest, Dreamer. You're the coolest. So I'm going to step to my Liberty team here. We've already taken the little mare once, we'll bring her again. The two girls on the outside are working off of their Liberty mates. On the inside, they don't really know the stallion very well because they don't live with him. So they're working today as though I brought a horse in that they've never met before. Even though they have met him in shows, they don't live together. So when I'm going around here, I want everything to be very quiet. If they're out of position or where I don't want them to be, I could ask Teddy to lift here. Little Rome could lift a canner. I'm going to spiral in here. We haven't travelled much. We've only done 3 shows in the last year, and little Miss Kylie on the outside has to get her gym membership back on. Bring her from my right and up to my left. This is his gorgeous daughter, Bling. Bling is beautiful. She's a wonderful young mare. She wants to be a leader so bad she can taste it. She wants to lead this team around, but she's not equipped yet, so she still makes young horse decisions. But I can see her being a leader in the future, just like Teddy. It's wonderful to have ambition, but we need to make sure that we do something with that ambition and we put it in the right spot. I'm going to leave those two girls standing there, bring my other 2 ponies with me. So when I reach out and touch their head, it's basically like I've said, I don't need you anymore for the moment. You just stay and wait for me to call upon you again. We'll take Teddy from my right to my left. I have to watch Dreamer. He really doesn't like Teddy. He doesn't work beside him because he likes him. He works beside him out of his respect and carefulness towards me. And I say to Dreamer all the time, he's a friend of mine, mate. He's got to be a friend of yours. We don't have to like everybody that we're around in life, but we sure can be respectful. There's people even in my hometown that I don't talk to, but I'm certainly not aggressive to them or bad. I just act like everything's okay and treat everyone with the respect that I'd like to be treated with. I'll bring this beautiful mare here. I want to leave her standing still and bring little Bling. Those 3 horses should stay still. I'd expect them to. Bling's still learning, and they're not even mistakes to her because she doesn't really know, but she's still learning. She says, "Can I move forward, Dad?" And when I look back at her, she stopped her feet. So right now she's in that part of her training career where she's still finding out what she can and can't do. If she does what I consider to be wrong, I don't get upset with her. I just go and teach her what's right. And all the time she watches the other horses and goes, how come they get to stay still? How come they're not working with you? And I'll say, darling, because they don't need to be. They have an understanding. One day you'll be sitting there looking at a young horse and he'll be saying the same thing to you. Here, I'm going to see if I can scoot this gorgeous stallion around. Having these horses stay still while a stallion gallops towards them is a lot of respect for me, but it's also a lot of belief in themselves. He's so athletic, this fella. I have a beautiful Marshkani stock saddle on that he developed for me, and I'm so grateful for it. It doesn't have a horn, I have nothing to hold on to, and boy, sometimes I feel like I need it. Hello, my darling. You beautiful girl. You're trying hard, sweetheart. You're trying hard. I'm gonna leave my hand on her head. And that's very normal. In the very first stages of training, the horses will leave us quite a bit, and then they get to where they start to really lock onto us. So she's right now at that stage. When she makes a mistake, she just leaves and goes away. Sorry, leaves and comes to me, I should say, instead of moving off. So I'm going to take little Teddy here. That's funny, he's my most broke one. Ted knows what's coming next, and because he's clever enough to know. I don't have a real I suppose routine that I try and have, but Ted knows. He's such a clever boy. And that beautiful girl there, you notice my boy then gave a little bit of a reach out to Teddy, wanted to nip at him there. So I just got to set this up right. Bling is not really ready to be in a show just yet, but it's wonderful to be able to have her performing. You're in the way, Bling Bling. Wonderful to have her performing with me because she's going to learn as she goes on. And it's very important for me as an educator just to help her. So I'm just going to set this up a little bit better. I want little miss. And you can see Bling is trying so hard. She is just doing everything in her power to be a part of this show. She doesn't know what she's here for, doesn't know what's going on, but boy, does she trying hard. So I'll leave those two girls there. Bling, you're so stinking funny. So I'll take Teddy here. Now if I can, there's a lot going on, team. Ted, concentrate. Good boy. So Bling's more than likely going to want to come over, that's okay. And Ted really knows what's going on. So I'm just going to take hold of him here. He's a great horse. He's the sort of fella that gives me sessions like this where he really asks me to step up and get more done, and then he goes out and performs beautifully. He was a horse that really struggled as a baby, so I give him days like this. Well, this is good. This is exactly the kind of thing they'd be doing if I was performing for you in America. So it makes perfect sense that they put it on here. Your characters. Now it would be a lot easier if I kicked little Bling out of here. This wouldn't be happening. You know, this wouldn't be an issue. But she's got to learn that this is just part of being in the team. And I've always found too, like there's no one here laughing and no one here to get to be enjoying this, but I know that this is what makes my performances so interesting to watch, is that you're watching a horseman work with a team of horses that have their own ideas and their own thoughts, and I love them for it. As an entertainer, I don't want to change that. I don't want my horses to be anything other than who they are. I want them to be the best versions of them. You know, when we go back on the show circuit, you're not helping, team. Teddy doesn't want to get wet. He's laying on my whip. So these two horses that are closest to me should side pass over, and Bling doesn't know how to from that far offside run, but she's going to try and do something anyway. So I'm going to bring Miss Kaidi here. Kaidi, you're not on, bub. You're not on, darling. Kaidi, move your hips, sweetheart. Bling, you're a distraction. Oh, you're a beautiful girl. So now we have to push Bling out of the way. Come on, darlings. Come on, beautiful horses. Oh, Ted, you're the best, brother. You're just the best. I know you're all clapping at home. I know you're supportive. Oh, my darling wife Em's clapping. Life's good. So I'm going to leave those there. I'm going to go and grab one more part of my team that's very important to us. As an Australian stockman, I go and I show the skills of the stock horse by working my Liberty team. But it's when I work this beautiful bullock that I've got here that I'm bringing to you that I could get to really show the skills of the true stockman. In Australia, we'll have Brahman bullocks, thousands of head of cattle, everything from Santa Gertrudis to Drought Master to Hereford and Angus, and we use them, on our properties, and we use our horses to control them. So this is my beautiful boy Faith. And Faith is a Liberty bullock, and I'd like to, more than proud to say that he'd be the world's best Liberty bullock, and the reason I can say that is I've never seen anyone else do it. So it's easy to be the best at something if no one else is doing it. I'm going to bring him here. And this is him straight out of the yard. He's got flies all over his face. Come on, my darling man. I'm going to bring him over here and show you something that makes him a little bit neat. And look down at his feet. Lay down for me, brother. I know it's wet. Down. Down, Faithy. It's a bit yucky, isn't it, brother? You're beautiful boy. You're beautiful boy. I do love him. He's 850 kilos, which would make him 1,400 pound for you over in America. And he could do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, and he chooses to be with me and he chooses to do these things. I called him Faith because it's taken a bit of faith to get him educated. I'm going to ask my beautiful stallion to be very careful with him, very respectful. Ah, big boy. I used to go all the way over him and go over his horns, but he's getting a little bit big for that, even though he's putting his head right down. He's a bit of a rock star. He's got a nose ring in because the girls think it's cool. You're such a wonderful boy, my Dreamer. I'll take Dreamer off very quietly. So this is the team I'm going to be taking to the Man from Snowy River Festival. You all know that incredible movie that I talk about in America when I'm there. There's a festival in Australia that talks about that, and they look for the new Man from Snowy River. So they're looking for a champion that is everything that the Snowy River country and that poem says they should be. I'm going to ride around here and I'm going to do a poem for you before I go, because that's what I'm known for. And this poem is called The Horseman's Promise. It's one that I wrote a few years ago now. But I'm going to include Faithy in it because Faithy's very, very sure that he's a horse. He's a bullock, but he identifies himself as a horse, and we're very, very open to that in this ever-changing day. So I want to recite this poem for you called The Horseman's Promise, and that's for you too, Faithy. I promise I will see you for all that you were born to be, before the training starts, before the A's and B's, for I do not want to change you, your heart, your soul, your spirit, for I want for you to sing your song, for the entire world to hear it. There will be many things to learn, for my world is different unto yours, and I will teach you with compassion to understand the greater cause. For alone, you are quite special, already perfect in nature's eye, but with my help, you'll be a diamond that will brighten up the sky. I promise you I will be fair whilst you learn to understand. My requests will all be justified, I promise you. A gentle hand. You will learn to seek my guidance. On pure knowledge you will feed, and I hope to share a bond with you to fulfill both our needs. For a horseman with no horse is just a man without a cause. We will learn and grow together to accept and forgive each other's flaws. I promise I will give my best in each and every moment, for you to give your best as well as to know your gift and own it. So whether your name is Bling or Rome or Kaidi or Teddy or Dreamer or Faith or Thomas, I will see you for all that you can be, for you have my horseman's promise and my bullock's promise, Faith. Wish we could be there with you all. I'm there in spirit. Can't wait to get back to America and perform with you. Equine Affaire is one of the greatest shows we get to perform in across the world, and we miss you all dearly. Have a wonderful day.